My name is David Hume. I am a senior at Curry College, looking to graduate in the spring of 2023. I'm a big baseball fan, been that way my whole life. However, it's gotten to a point where I've got to criticize the sport that I love, the game that I love. It's gotten to that point, guys, and this is How to Optimize Baseball's Future by David Hume. Is there something wrong with baseball? Baseball has moved down from number one in America's favorite pastime, favorite sport, to number three on America's totem pole. All right. And that is, of course, behind the NBA and the NFL, two powerhouses for entertainment. What are some reasons for this? Some more information is that baseball is obviously known for having a pretty aged audience compared to the NBA and the NFL, at least. I don't have exact conclusive data on what the average viewer is for the MLB. I've gotten some contradictory data from a multitude of sources. I've seen 25 to 35, which is the age range. I've seen the exact average as 57 years old, which is hard to believe. But one thing we can say for sure, that the MLB viewer is most likely, on average, older than the average NBA or NFL viewer. Yeah, baseball viewership is going down, and less people are watching the game, even though there are more people on Earth. Attendance numbers in 2019 were only, and this is before COVID, so there's no COVID excuse or anything. Attendance numbers in 2019 were only 28,203 fans per game, compared to 1993 having 30,964 fans per game, despite there being nearly 70 million more human beings in the United States. Crazy numbers, guys. There's really not much. There's not much to say about that, But there are probably a few reasons. So MLB games last longer than NBA games, but they're about the same length as NFL games. So people saying, "Oh, MLB games are too long," I don't think that is necessarily the problem. All right, it's more likely have to do with the action time. The exact average in 2021 for MLB games was 3 hours and 10 minutes. And that's, again, right around where the NFL's at. The NBA is anywhere from 2 hours to 2.5. But it's a lack of action, These two stats really speak. I have more than two stats, but the average plate appearances per game, right, is 74.8, or was in 2021. And it hasn't been this low since 1968, which was 74.3. The all-time high in the modern era, at least, was 78.2 back in 1996. And alongside that statistic, the average pitches per plate appearance is increasing slowly but surely. It went from 3.68 to 1991 all the way up to 3.89 in 2022. The all-time high was 3.97, I apologize, in 2021, although it was a small sample size of just 60 games. So the pairing of more pitches per game as well as less plate appearances per game is a deadly combo of just boring, no action. There's somehow more pitches. However, there are less batters. So it's essentially batters are taking more pitches, whether they're trying to draw walks. The pitchers are just more dominant. They're fouling. The batters are fouling pitches off. I'm not sure what the exact reason is, but it's not a good combination at all. And another thing that I think is bad for the game. So the ratings and viewership for the World Series are at an all-time low, right? And I think a reason for that is pitchers are being used so damn much. It's hard to distinguish, stars. It's hard to know who's on like the team even. So pitchers per game used in 2021 is 34.4. I mean, pitchers used per season. So there's 34.4 pitchers used on average for a single team in 2021. And pitchers used per game in 2021 was about 4.43, both all-time highs. And I think this is bad for the World Series because guess what? These guys are still pitching in the playoffs. In 2022, the World Series had a rating of 6.1, almost 12 million viewers, and a TV ranking of 48th, right? All those are all-time lows. Every single one of them, except if we're excluding the 2020 World Series, which was not even a real season. It was a 60-game season. Most of the teams in the league made the playoffs. It was whatever, right? No one. I mean, I didn't watch it, to be honest with you. So yeah, big issue when the most important 7 games of the season are not even being viewed. So yeah. And another issue, the gap between good and bad teams is way larger than it is with other sports. I mean, straight up, like the highest spending team in 2022 was the Los Angeles Dodgers at $265 million, with the lowest being the Baltimore Orioles at $43 million. And given the Orioles actually had a good season, if you compare that to the Oakland Athletics, who I think was second to last in spending, they had a dreadful season. They had no chance of making the playoffs, and the Orioles had to play their best possible baseball to even get to barely above 500. So it speaks volumes, in my opinion. And the winningest team, again, the Dodgers had 111 wins. If you sit that right next to the Washington Nationals, the most losing team in the MLB in 2022, 55 wins. 55 wins. Combined 55 and 55, you don't even get 111. They had more than double the Nationals wins, which is terrible. And this is also right after a trade that happened maybe a year and a half ago between those two teams, where the Nationals pretty much gave them their 2 best players. So it's crazy talk, to be honest with you. And I mean, I don't have data to back this one up, but baseball is just being talked about less, way less than the NFL and NBA. And I mean, there's reasons for that, but it's a fact, And again, I don't have data to back this up, but watch ESPN for if you wanted to watch ESPN for a week, even during the MLB season, they're going to be talking about the NFL offseason more than the MLB season, regular season, or the NBA offseason, They just don't talk about the MLB that much. It's crazy. But I don't blame them, to be honest, because the way baseball is currently designed, it's not viewership friendly at all. The average batting average at its lowest since 1968. In 2022, the league-wide batting average was 243. A 243 batting average. That's not good. And in 1968, it was 237, which is the lowest all time. All time, which is unreal. 243, it's unbearable to watch, if I'm being honest. And it's just not enough balls in play. In 2016, a 7-season sample size, the average strikeouts per game per team, so per game per team, is 8.47. So 8.5 strikeouts per team per game. That's insane. And that average would be an all-time high, which is insane. And in just 1993, you know, not even 30 years ago, it was just 5.80. So what's going on here? People are striking out at a ridiculous rate. Home runs are up higher than ever, even compared to the steroid era, Home runs. So during the steroid era, from 1994 to 2004, 11 seasons, the average home run rate was 1.07. From 2016 to 2022, 7 seasons, it was 1.21, with an all-time high being 1.39 in 2019. So everyone's saying, oh, I miss home runs. I miss a steroid era where people were hitting the damn ball out of the ballpark every time they were up to bat. That's not how it was. At least that's not the issue. That's not the problem at all. The problem is not home runs. Home runs are way up. Way, way, way up compared to any other year. So don't even think about that argument, right? So it's not home runs. That's not the issue. At least the frequency of home runs. But one issue is the idea, the meta of trying to hit home runs so frequently that it hinders the rest of the sport. And this is where I get to average balls in play, right? So balls in play, not a very fancy statistic, not a very cool statistic necessarily. I think it's cool, but the average balls in play over the 7 seasons of 2016 to 2022 is 24.30. And the bottom 7 seasons, the 7 lowest all-time seasons for batting average in play, are the last 7 seasons played from 16 to 22. Unbelievable. And just back in 2007, it was up at 27.17. So 15 years ago, people were still hitting the ball in play. So yeah, and obviously another reason why is that there's 162 games in the season, right? It's hard to keep up with that. I enjoy it, and I'm sure many other people enjoy it, but a lot of people don't want to keep up with that, straight up. Yeah, and another thing wrong with baseball, there are less marketable stars because of how the game is played. And I mentioned the pitchers, how many pitchers there are. I mean, if you look at it, the good teams, they have just a stable of guys in the bullpen, guys who are filthy, deadly, nasty, whatever word you want to call it, who are capable of striking out any batter in the league. A no-name, and there's tons of these no-names in the league, are striking out our superstars on a consistent basis, right? It's crazy. So it's like, okay, I love Aaron Judge, and then I go to a game, and he gets struck out, let's say 3 out of 4 times by a bunch of nobodies. It's like, okay, who is a superstar here? It's a weird game. It's a weird game where you only succeed. If I'm batting 300, I'm only succeeding 30% of the time. Or if my on bases percentage is 400, which is outstanding, I'm getting on base, sure, succeeding 40% of the time. But I mean, people don't even really want to watch walks. Like people who are real baseball fans and appreciate the game. Yeah, I mean, they're gonna like it, but it's hard to enjoy. And the people in charge don't really know what the hell they're doing, to be honest with you. I mean, there's crazy rule changes, such as a ghost runner, which puts a base runner on second base once it reaches the 10th inning or later, every single inning, to speed up extra inning games and prevent games from going to the 20th inning or something, right? I think it's stupid. That's not the issue. The issue is not extra inning games. How often does a game go to extra innings? If anything, that's more exciting, in my opinion. And another bad rule was the 7-inning doubleheaders. If I'm going to a game, I'm paying for a 9-inning full game. And there's an instance with Madison Bumgarner. He threw a no-hitter through 7 innings. It's like, okay, do we count that as a proper no-hitter, or we don't count that? He could have gone the full 9 innings with a no-hitter, but not in Robert Manfred's league. So let's get to some solutions. Solving the problem will not be as easy as identifying it. So should we make MLB games shorter? The MLB is adding a pitch clock in 2023, which is a 15-second timer between each and every pitch. Teams can carry up to 13 pitchers and 14 during the month of September. Again, big stable of guys. It's good for the pitchers because, and especially the health aspect of things because, we saw these pitchers going down with Tommy John, all these elbow injuries, shoulder injuries. It allows them to have a break. So I'm not going to hate on it, but there are repercussions to having so many pitchers. Another thing that slows the game down, relief pitchers get 1 minute to warm up on the mound after being called out of the bullpen. So if, say, a team uses 5 bullpen arms, that's a good amount of time of just warming up and just kind of just wasted time, dead time, where everyone's like, what the hell is even happening? Again, there's less plate appearances, but more pitches per plate appearance. Recipe for boringness. No limit to the number of innings compared to like the NBA. There's a timer. So what's to blame? Is it increased dominance in pitching? If not, then what? Are long games even the issue? Like, is watching a 3-hour game what's boring about baseball? Personally, I don't think so. I think the pitch clock is a great start. I don't think we should do anything drastic yet. Pitch clock, great start. We'll see what happens next year. If it doesn't do the job, doesn't do the trick, then yeah, we'll look to more drastic measures. But let's not get too crazy yet. Pitch clock is already a little crazy, but something that the league is doing, they're testing these ideas in the minor leagues to see if they work or not. And they believe that the pitch clock works and it was successful in the minor leagues, so they are going to implement it in the MLB. Is it even possible to make games more enjoyable to watch? I think it is. The big issue here is, like I said, the balls in play, BIP. Balls in play adds up how many balls are hit into the field, like a fly ball, ground ball, line drive, any ball that the defender and fielders have to deal with, And outcomes that are not included in BIP are home runs, strikeouts, and walks, and the foul balls. All these are not accounted for. So if you look at BIP, I told you how low balls in play are as of late, and it's shocking, to be honest. But the reality is seeking home runs and walks while being content with strikeouts, that's the meta in the MLB, It's called the 3 true outcome. We're going to talk about it more later, but so many teams and players are being taught to just hit the long ball, draw a walk, and guess what? If you strike that ball doing that, we're fine. But the whole idea of small ball, okay, we're going to string together a couple base hits, get a base runner on, maybe steal a bag, create some commotion, some action, some errors, that's not a thing. There's nothing more exciting than someone running the bases and the ball flying everywhere. It's great, but we're not seeing that in today's game. But a big reason for the 3 true outcome is the shift, and the shift is being banned next year, 2023 season. The shift, if you don't know, is when a player who is more prone to hitting it towards one side or another gets counterplayed or strategized against by the other team by setting up fielders in the most likely spot that they are to hit it, right? So guys like Joey Gallo, Anthony Rizzo, pull hitters who are used to hitting it to right field and as of late are used to seeing 3 fielders there. They will now not see 3 infielders on the right side, only 2. So they're going to get way more base hits next year. It should be a positive thing. I think that's a great change. Although everyone makes the argument, oh, well, just hit the ball the other way. I agree with that too, but I want to see some hits one way or another. If the issue doesn't improve after the shift ban, this is a kind of a drastic thing, but we might need to move the fences back. de-incentivize, is that a word? You know, make it so people are not swinging for the fences every damn time. Because in Yankee Stadium, you know, hitting a home run is not that hard. Like, you don't have to hit it too far to hit a home run. In Minute Maid Park, I think maybe within the last decade for sure, they moved the left field wall way closer to make it so balls hit to left field that would be pop flies in a lot of stadiums are bombs or home runs in Minute Maid Park. So again, we might need to push it back, but we're gonna hold off on that idea. It's a suggestion, but we're gonna hold off on that idea for now. Can we close the gap between the top and the bottom? What makes the MLB so different from the NBA and NFL? Why is it such a problem in the MLB? The issue, or a potential issue, is the lack of salary cap, right? There's no salary cap in the MLB, but if we add a salary cap, will that fix everything? I don't think so. You know, the Mets are going to be well over $300 million this season, while the Athletics will be lucky if they get to 50. I don't think they will. I think they're going to stay at around 45. Whose fault is it? Should there be a salary cap? I mean, make the argument. Should it be big market owners forced to limit their spending, or small market owners, should they be forced or at least incentivized to spend more money? Should teams be allowed to tank? How can we incentivize teams to compete? Because that's the issue. You know, no one wants to see a 55-win team, these terrible teams, in September when they mean nothing. I mean, look at the Oakland Coliseum last season during the second half of the year. It was a ghost town. A ghost town. It was despicable, disgusting. The fact that a professional franchise would let anything like that happen is horrendous. You know, it's really gross to look at. I think the way we do it is we change the way the draft works. We have to incentivize teams to compete. Obviously the incentive is to win a championship, but if they don't think they have a good chance of winning the championship, they're just going to take in their money like the Cincinnati Reds. They're just not going to spend. They know people are going to go to the games. They're going to make their money and just treat it as a business. We're not trying to win. But my idea, right, is what I think. We take all of the teams who miss the playoffs, all right? Take all the teams that miss the playoffs, and then whoever had the best record out of the teams who miss the playoffs, they get the number one pick. And then the second best record who missed the playoffs, they get the number two, and so on. So if I'm some terrible team, I'm not incentivized to just tank because it's like, okay, I'm not going to get the number one pick, then why the hell am I down here? I'm just going to keep getting worse. Now, obviously, we keep the teams with that made the playoffs. We keep them in the bottom section of the draft. But I think that's the way to do it. You know, get fringe teams who are very close to being good. You know, reward them for competing. By the way, I think this is a change every league should make, NFL and NBA. The big issue is the star power, guys. I mean, there's not enough star power. People don't know enough names. I mean, Mike Trout could comfortably walk around the street and not get recognized. If you have guys like Brady, LeBron, Jordan, people are going to be all over that. Oh my God, it's Tom Brady. No one's doing that with Mike Trout. And he might be the best player to ever play the game. And he doesn't get recognized. Crazy talk, right? I think one reason, just the way baseball's structured. If I'm a Mike Trout and Aaron Judge, let's say I get 4 at-bats. Say I catch 3 fly balls throughout the whole game. Maybe make one really nice play, right? You only see me maybe, 5, 6, 7 times a game if I'm lucky, right? If I'm lucky, you're going to see me 5, 6, 7 times a game. But let's say I'm LeBron James or I'm Tom Brady. If I'm Brady, I'm getting the ball every snap, every play. The ball is in my hands, whether I'm throwing it or handing it off. LeBron. If I'm LeBron, Luka Doncic, the ball is in my hands at least one time every possession. There's no instance where I don't see the ball, you know? So I think the way the game is structured is not favorable towards MLB stars. I mean, the MLB is trying to promote their stars. It just doesn't work as well. I think we're a team-driven league. You know, everyone knows the Yankees, but not everyone knows everyone on the Yankees, right? But in the NBA, everyone knows LeBron, but maybe not everyone knows the Cleveland Cavaliers, right? So NBA is player-driven, MLB is team-driven. At least that's what I think. And this is probably the most difficult question. How can we even entice the younger audience to baseball? Because baseball is a slow-paced game. No matter how much you try and up the pace, it's always going to be a slow-paced game. And the way the world is structured today, I'm on my phone. I could zoom, 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 zoom. My attention span is so short, right? I don't have the attention span to watch even in one inning. I guarantee, like even me, I find myself on my phone a lot of times during these games, and it's honestly gross how short our attention span has gone, and it's only going to get worse with kids. So, what do we do here, right? Like, if we change the game too much, it won't be baseball anymore. I don't know. This is also such a tough question. I'm in the stance of we don't change it. I don't think we change the game because we're going to be losing identity at that point. You know, I mean, we could look at the NBA like, okay, the NBA was dying at one point, adds a 3-point line, gets a couple of star players like Magic and Bird, and all of a sudden it's a freaking powerhouse of entertainment. You know, the 3-point line revolutionized the NBA. It created a whole new skill set, essentially. And I don't think baseball can even get that. Like, what we're gonna have? Okay, if you hit a 450 feet, you get 2 runs instead of 1. You know, like I don't think that's the answer. I think we just have to be the best baseball we could be, and that brings me to my next point. Can we even overtake the NBA or NFL? I mean, maybe someday, but I don't really think this is like I don't think trying to be the NBA or NFL is the way we're going to do it. Right? Like the NBA is plateauing a little bit when it comes to viewership. NFL is a juggernaut. We know that. We can't change the way the game's played. At least, I mean, we could change the meta as in like, okay, less home runs, please. We could try to incentivize that, but when it comes to like speeding the game up, I don't think that's the way to do it. It has to be more exciting. Don't change the game. Don't change the sport. You know, sports are kind of like a music genre. I don't think they compete directly with each other. If I am a football fan and I tune into an MLB game and I enjoy myself, I'm not going to stop watching football, right? But if I'm, you know, I don't know, let's say I'm someone who drives a lot of cars and my Nissan's breaking down. I see somebody with a Chevy. Oh, maybe I like the Chevy more. Give it a spin. I like the Chevy more. I'm dumping my Nissan. No one's dumping football for baseball. That's not how it's going to work. No one's jumping their hip-hop music for country music. That's not how it works. They might add it to what they like, but it's not like they're competing directly. It's not what it is. MLB has a monopoly, essentially, on baseball. So I think we have to focus on being the best baseball we could possibly be. Build, and they will come. That's what I believe, truly. In conclusion, identity is something that baseball is at risk of losing, guys. And there's 2 different scenarios that this could go down. Firstly, is that it kind of already is with the way the game's being played. The 3-2 outcome nonsense meta has made the game so frustrating to watch, and I'm sure really frustrating to play. If I'm a player being told, just hit home runs and get walks, you know, there's no exhilarating moment of, okay, I hit a ball in the gap, I hit the ball down the line, I got to run to second, should I go to third? Oh my God, that outfielder made a bobble, can I go home? Like, there's no excitement, there's no like, oh, what's going to happen? It's like, boom, the ball is launched, it's gone. Ball 4, we know you're just going to walk to first base. Strike 3, we know where you're going. You're walking to the dugout. Like, it's not fun. There's no, like, what's going to happen aspect, right? is literally 3 true outcomes. That's the name of it. And being a player, I'm sure it's frustrating, and being a fan is not fun to watch. But secondly, if we go down this avenue, if we change the rules too much, we might be playing a different sport, something that might not be recognizable, you know. And you can make the argument that it's not recognizable already with the way it's being played, but I digress. It's frustrating, guys. I believe that we should cater to the true fans of baseball rather than trying to change it for people who are not fans of baseball. You know, be loyal to the girl that likes you. Don't try and run around chasing people who don't mess with you. It's a bad way of living. It's a bad lesson. It's it's only a recipe for disaster. So I'm sorry it was so long, Dr. T. I had a lot of fun, and it was a lot of effort making this, but I enjoyed it. I love this class. Thank you so much for having me. Um, these are my references before I forget. Um, and yeah, have a amazing winter, amazing holiday, and hope to see you sometime in the future. But yeah, I'm out. Have a good night. Peace.